Donna Troy. Her story started when writer Bob Haney misread Wonder Woman comics from the 50s and 60s. Those impossible tales showing a young Diana. Haney assumed Wonder Girl was a separate character, not just Wonder Woman as a kid. So when he threw her into the Brave and the Bold number 60 alongside Robin, Aqualad, and Kid Flash, he accidentally created a continuity black hole. DC realized the mess too late, so they did what they do best: patch it. Donna became Diana's long-lost sister, then a rescued orphan, then a magical duplicate, then the lone survivor of a burning building adopted by interdimensional beings. Every crisis made things worse. Writers kept rewriting her like they were trying to solve a Rubik's Cube in a dark room, with gloves on. By the time the New Titans and Infinite Crisis rolled around, Donna had gone through more origin stories than Batman had sidekicks. Fans couldn't keep up, editors couldn't agree, and Donna, she just kept showing up because no matter how broken her timeline got, readers loved her. She became Troya, she led the Titans, she died, she came back, then she died again, and yep, came back again. Most characters get one reboot. Donna got a whole franchise worth of rewrites. But somehow through all the confusion, she carved out a spot as one of the Titans' most iconic members. A mistake on paper that DC's been trying to explain for 60 years and still hasn't nailed down. Dexter. Dexter wasn't designed. He was drawn, and only because an artist had some extra space in a panel. You see, during the 2008 Final Crisis, Rage of the Red Lanterns, illustrator Shane Davis was filling out a chaotic group shot of the Red Lantern Corps. So, for fun, he sketched in his pet cat. No backstory, no powers. Just a ring-wearing feline lost in the madness. Then Jeff Johns noticed. Instead of deleting the background doodle, Johns doubled down. He gave the cat a name, Dexter. Then he gave him pain. In the comics, Dexter was a blue house cat living with a kind old woman in a rundown apartment. One night, intruders broke in and killed her. Dexter waited next to her body until animal control dragged him out. Thrown into a sack and dumped off a bridge, he hit the bottom of the river, ready to give up. That's when the Red Lantern Ring found him. Fueled by grief and fury, Dexter transformed into Dexter, a glowing-eyed, plasma-breathing, hate-fueled nightmare. He ripped apart the thugs who killed his owner. Then he flew into space to spread more vengeance. No one laughed. The cat that started as a background gag was now a full-on lantern with blood on his paws and his own origin arc. Fans loved it. Dexter showed up in Red Lanterns, Green Lantern, New Guardians, and even DC Superhero Girls, where he got the kid-friendly treatment. But the core stayed the same: betrayal, pain, rage, and one broken cat who never forgot what was taken from him. The Joker. He was introduced in Batman #1 as a twisted killer with a chilling smile and a short shelf life. The original plan was to kill him off by the final page. No sequels, no backstory, just a corpse with a grin. The panel was drawn. Joker dies after accidentally stabbing himself. End of story. But DC editor Whitney Ellsworth wasn't sold on closing the book so fast. He saw potential, stopped the presses, and told the team to add one extra panel. It showed Joker still alive, recovering in a hospital bed. That single insert changed everything. After that, the Joker kept showing up. He went from petty gangster to maniacal clown prince, gradually morphing into Batman's deadliest enemy. In the 50s, he was campy. In the 70s, he got darker. By the 80s, he was a walking nightmare. The Killing Joke, Death in the Family, Arkham Asylum. His legend kept mutating, feeding off every generation's fears. Decades later, he's still terrifying. He's been played by Cesar Romero, Jack Nicholson, Heath Ledger, Joaquin Phoenix, and more. Every version is different, but everyone leaves a scar, and none of them were supposed to happen. That original death panel still exists in the archives, but it never made it to print. One editorial instinct gave comics its most dangerous wildcard, a character with no origin, no limits, and no rules. Joker was a one-shot gone rogue. Now he's DC's most recognizable villain, with a body count, a fan base, and a cultural footprint bigger than most heroes. Zoriel. In 1997, Grant Morrison was revamping the Justice League for the JLA comic relaunch and wanted Hawkman in the lineup. There was just one problem. DC didn't know who Hawkman was anymore. His continuity had been rebooted, splintered, merged, and scrambled into something editors didn't want to touch. Morrison was told no, so he built a new character from scratch. Zoriel wasn't from space or ancient Egypt. He was an actual angel, not metaphorical, not symbolic. A literal guardian angel who quit heaven to join the Justice League and protect humanity. Golden wings, flaming sword, divine origins, the guy came fully loaded. He made his debut in JLA #6, mid-storyline, crashing to Earth in flames during a battle with Asmodel, a rogue angel. Readers had no idea who this was, and that was the point. Morrison gave him depth, a backstory involving the Pax Dei and a clear purpose, someone with absolute faith standing alongside aliens, billionaires, and speedsters. Zoriel wasn't planned to stick around, he was a continuity workaround, a one-man celestial fix for a Hawkman-shaped hole. But the response was strong enough to earn him a limited series and recurring appearances across JLA, Day of Judgment, and Spectre. Over time, he became DC's go-to religious wildcard. He's fought demons, guided the dead, and stood guard at the gates of heaven. Not bad for a guy who only showed up because another character's lore was too broken to use. Lobo. Lobo wasn't meant to lead anything. He was written to mock the rise of violent, no-nonsense anti-heroes that flooded comics in the 80s. Wolverine, Punisher, Cable. So in Omega Men #3, 1983, writer Keith Giffen and artist Roger Slifer introduced an alien bounty hunter from Zarnia who looked like a biker, acted like a maniac, and talked like a demolition derby with a vocabulary. He rode a space hog, drank like it was a job, and carried enough firepower to take out a solar system. His debut didn't cause a stir, but when he reappeared in Legion and eventually got a solo miniseries in 1990, something strange happened. Readers loved him. The sarcasm, the gore, the cartoonish violence, it all clicked. By the time the 90s kicked into full gear, Lobo was starring in one-shots, crossovers, and full-blown parodies of Santa Claus, dolphins, and his own editors. The guy had no moral code and no character arc. That was the point, and fans couldn't get enough. Giffen admitted he was confused. The whole thing was a satire, but audiences took it seriously. They wanted more Lobo. DC gave it to them. For a while, he was everywhere. Justice League, Superman, the animated series, Young Justice, video games, merchandise, the works. Eventually, DC tried to reboot him into a sleek, serious assassin. It bombed. Fans wanted the Chaos Gremlin with chain whips and catchphrases. Lobo was never designed to be a franchise. He was a mirror held up to the genre's worst habits. And somehow, that mirror sold comics. Monarch. In 1991, DC launched Armageddon 2001, a big crossover with a single mystery baked into the center. One hero from the present would eventually snap, turn authoritarian, and become the masked villain Monarch. The whole event built up to a final reveal. All signs pointed to Captain Atom. Every breadcrumb, flash forward, and plot tease said the same thing. Then the ending got leaked. Before the finale dropped, a magazine spoiled the big twist. Fans found out Captain Atom was Monarch, and DC freaked out. Editors pulled the ripcord and rewrote the ending at the 11th hour. Instead of Atom, they pinned the entire heel turn on Hawk from Hawk and Dove. It made zero narrative sense. Hawk had no buildup, no slow descent. One minute he was punching bad guys, the next, he was strangling Dove and putting on battle armor. Readers were blindsided, and not in a good way. The backlash hit immediately. Fans called it sloppy, critics called it sabotage, even the creators weren't happy. To clean it up, DC later rebranded Hawk into another villain, Extant, during Zero Hour, hoping no one would look too closely. But the damage was done. What was meant to be a shocking twist became a case study in how not to handle leaks. The original ending was logical. The rewrite was chaos. Hawk's character was torched. Captain Atom's arc got derailed, and the entire event lost its punch. Years later, the truth came out in interviews. DC didn't deny it. They just admitted they panicked and rewrote everything to keep the surprise fresh. It was damage control, gone sideways. Harley Quinn. She showed up in 1992 during Batman, the animated series, as a sidekick for the Joker in an episode titled Joker's Favor. One scene, one job, deliver a few lines, open a door, and vanish. The creators, Paul Dini and Bruce Timm, just needed someone to roll in a cake. That's it. But Harley didn't vanish. Her Brooklyn accent, unpredictable energy, and chaotic devotion to Joker lit up the screen. The fans wanted more, so the writers brought her back, again and again. By the time the show ended, Harley had gone from throwaway henchwoman to animated regular. She crossed into comics in 1993's Batman Adventures #12, then officially joined DC canon in 1999. From there, she exploded. She became a staple in Gotham City Sirens, Suicide Squad, and her own solo runs. She ditched Joker, formed her own crew, leaned into the chaos, and built a completely new identity as an anti-hero. Comic fans, cosplayers, and studios locked in. She got video games, animated spin-offs, a live-action role played by Margot Robbie that put her on movie posters across the globe, all from a single animated episode with no long-term plan. She is now one of DC's most valuable characters, one of the few who made the leap from cartoon to comics instead of the other way around. No origin arc, no multiversal debut, just a one-shot gig that turned into a pop culture juggernaut. Elongated Man. Ralph Dibny was a walking editorial mistake. He debuted in The Flash number 112 in 1960, complete with a purple costume, a twitchy nose, and the ability to stretch like taffy. The readers liked him. The writers liked him. DC gave him a recurring role, a wife, and eventually a seat at the Justice League table. There was just one problem. They already had Plastic Man. DC had acquired the rights to Plastic Man from Quality Comics a few years earlier, but nobody in editorial realized it. Julius Schwartz, the editor at the time, later admitted that if he'd known Plastic Man was available, Elongated Man never would have been greenlit. The power set was identical, the genre vibe was close. It was a redundancy that slipped past quality control. But by then, Ralph had fans, so DC doubled down. To separate him from Plastic Man, they leaned into his personality. Elongated Man became less about slapstick and more about solving mysteries. He traveled with his wife Sue, chased clues, and twitched his nose anytime something didn't feel right. He was half detective, half acrobat, full-time League support. In team books like Justice League of America and Identity Crisis, Ralph carried emotional weight. He was the guy holding the team together between punches. Even his death and post-mortem ghost arc kept him relevant. All of it happened because no one checked the filing cabinet. Elongated Man's entire existence is the result of a rights oversight and a green light that never should have been given. Mogo. In 1985, Alan Moore sat down to write a quick Green Lantern short story. Just a 5-page backup in Green Lantern number 188. Nothing serious. The title, Mogo Doesn't Socialize. It was supposed to be a gag. Simple setup, weird payoff. A warrior hunts down a legendary lantern named Mogo across an uncharted jungle. After pages of suspense, the twist drops. Mogo isn't hiding in the jungle. Mogo is the jungle. The entire planet is the lantern. That was supposed to be the end, but fans went nuts. The idea of a sentient planet wielding a power ring was too good to ignore. Writers picked it up. Mogo reappeared, then he kept reappearing. He went from one-off novelty to core heavyweight. By the 2000s, he was one of the most powerful lanterns in the galaxy, and possibly the most important. Mogo guided lost rings to new recruits. He trained rookies. He served as headquarters. During Blackest Night, he helped coordinate the Corps' survival. In War of the Green Lanterns, he was considered a strategic threat, big enough that the Corps nearly had to destroy him. And through all of that, he never had a face, never had a costume, just rings, orbit, and gravity. Mogo became DC's weirdest success story, a cosmic joke turned cornerstone. There was no long arc, no teaser, no buildup. One story, one reveal, and a character that literally reshaped Green Lantern lore. The Legion of Superheroes. The Legion wasn't built to last. They were written for a single appearance in Adventure Comics number 247, 1958, a fun little time travel detour. 3 teenagers from the 30th century, Cosmic Boy, Saturn Girl, and Lightning Lad, show up to prank Superboy and test whether he's worthy to join their futuristic hero club. That was supposed to be it. One and done. But the fan mail came pouring in. Readers loved it. DC looked at the response, shrugged, and did the only thing that made sense at the time: bring them back. Again and again. Soon they were headliners. More members got added: Brainiac 5, Mon-El, Ultra Boy, Shadow Lass. The 30th century started getting maps, politics, love triangles, and timelines so long they made the Justice League look like a side project. The Legion evolved into an entire sub-franchise. They were running their own universe, with Superboy reduced to an occasional visitor in their world, not the other way around. Writers expanded their lore with galactic wars, telepathic plagues, time distortions, and character rosters that needed spreadsheets to track. By the 80s, the Legion of Superheroes was one of DC's biggest titles. Long before Teen Titans caught fire, the Legion had already made teenage superheroes cool. It all came from a single filler story. There was no blueprint, no hype machine, no brand synergy. Just 3 kids, a test, and a throwaway future. And yet, they became one of the most expansive, loyal, fan-base-powered teams DC ever published. And that's it. So, which of these characters surprised you the most to be on the list? And is there any character we left out? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. As you leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more amazing videos like this one.